Hey there, my fellow YouTubians. Unfortunately, the 2006 edition of the contest did not have any entrants and therefore no winners. But I would love to tell you about the movies that I enjoyed most that year anyway. The clues were poems, which I invited everyone to complete with the title of a film. And the first clue was, a fellow is cheating on his wife, though their home is a lovely joint, and hatches a plan to shed his strife in a movie called Match Point. Now, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that Woody Allen would direct one of the most suspenseful movies I'd ever seen, I would have been like, you're dreaming, right? But here's the thing. There are a lot of comedies that I don't really find all that funny because I'm expecting them to be funny. Whereas the humor that comes out of a science fiction picture or a straight drama is more unexpected and therefore a lot more amusing because, you know, like I said, it's unexpected, pleasant surprise. And the same is true here with the suspense. If a movie is about gangsters or professional thieves or kidnappers or something like that, you expect a certain amount of suspense and tension. But if it comes out of a domestic drama, that's much more significant because people committing crimes is not necessarily something you see in an ordinary domestic drama, such as it is. This movie is about a guy, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who marries into a very wealthy family and gets accustomed to a luxurious lifestyle. But when he has an affair with Scarlett Johansson and she wants him to leave his wife, he knows that that will significantly decrease his income and his, living conditions, I guess. So he tries to figure out a way to, extract himself from this problem. And that involves committing a crime. Now, I was sitting there in the theater watching him do this. He doesn't talk to anybody about it. He doesn't have any narration telling us what he's going to be doing. We just watch him do it. And as I saw him set his plan in motion, I was like, oh my goodness, he's not going to do that, is he? That's crazy. Oh my God, what is he thinking, And he's struggling with this thing while another person's in the other room about to come back in and interrupt him. And I'm just like, so really, really good stuff. It's also a very funny movie in a lot of ways. And Scarlett Johansson, I mean, some people give her, grief about her acting or lack thereof. She's terrific in this movie. She's never been better or hotter, for that matter. And it's terrific. It's terrific. So that is a fantastic movie. And the next film that I referred to with the clue, this tragic crisis, a feast of woes, as any American would see, is tempered by the courageous souls on United 93. Some people, of course, a lot of people probably think that it's too soon to make a movie about September 11. And I agree that it's perhaps too soon to see a movie about September 11. If it's something that you don't want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. However, making a movie 5 years after the event itself, I think, helped in this case. Because it ensured the movie would be as accurate as possible. And Paul Greengrass, who did the second and third Jason Bourne movies, coordinated his efforts with the family members of the people who were on that flight to, make everything as accurate as possible. Now, of course, since everyone on board Flight 93 died when the plane crashed, there's no way to be absolutely sure what happened there. But since there are two facts. One, that they were going to try and storm the cockpit to take back control of the plane from the hijackers, which is confirmed by people who they called from the plane. And the plane, of course, crashed into an open field. It didn't crash into, any building of any kind, just an open field. So the only people who died were people on the plane, and that probably was not the hijackers' intention. So from those facts, we can assume that they did storm the cockpit and that they were successful in breaking in and taking control away from the hijackers, if only to crash and, all of them die. Greengrass does something very cool here, which is that he doesn't over-dramatize things. He doesn't lay in extra subplots. He keeps things very, very simple. I mean, the most backstory we get is that the pilot talks to his one of the other guys in the cockpit about where he might be taking his family for vacation. There's none of that extra stuff layered in whereby you have real-life characters, but they're given additional problems or they're concerned with stuff outside of what's going on in the moment. None of that extra stuff is in there. And that makes things much simpler and much more intense, actually, because we're not worried about anything else other than what's going on with the, with events as they're unfolding. Greengrass actually got a lot of people to appear in the movie as themselves. The head of the FAA was his first day on the job, and he plays himself. A lot of the guys in the FAA office are playing themselves. Some of the military personnel playing themselves, air traffic controllers, and so on. Because Paul Greengrass really likes that whole cinema verite style, it really made me feel like I was just basically standing in the room with these guys watching them do their work. And when they are looking at the radar screen and see this plane inching closer to Manhattan and suddenly just disappeared, they're like, what happened? The plane just disappeared. You kind of go, oh man, it's horrible. I tell you, the most important reason why I like this movie so much, and why it's important to me, is that I wasn't personally affected by September 11. I don't know anyone that was personally affected by it. No one disappeared from my life because of it. And so it was basically something that I mostly just watched stuff on TV about and read about. And this movie made it personal. And, made me feel like I was, part of it. And it wasn't, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so terrific movie. And that is, up for contention for Best of the Decade. And finally, one last film here. Where is that? Oh, here we go. The Future is Barren Without Resort by Edict or Greenback or Hen. But a lonely woman and her brave escort offer hope for children of men. This was, of course, a science fiction movie that takes place in the future. It was directed by Alfonso Cuaron. Thank you, Reyna, for helping me pronounce that name. Cuaron also directed Harry Potter and the Prison of Azkaban and Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is one of my favorite movies of 2002. So this guy has the goods. And this is, if surely on a technical level, probably the most impressive movie I've ever seen ever. There are shots in this movie that are so incredible. And I'm not just talking about those shots where they took basically several shots and digitally blended them together to make it look like one big long shot. Those are great. But even simpler shots are still fantastic. All the production design that went into creating this futuristic version of London, and just all these shots that go on for a long time and capture so much, all the coordination of extras, everything about it is just so amazing. And it's, really compelling story as it is. I thought it'd be kind of a drab sci-fi movie, but in fact it was, a big action picture, with a lot of suspense. Clive Owen is the main character. He has been tasked with shepherding this pregnant shepherding, you like that, huh? The whole Jesus allegory isn't too subtle in this movie, but he has to basically take this pregnant woman to a group of scientists. Because no one is getting pregnant anymore. No one's having babies. The human race is basically going to die out. So they want to be able to determine why it was she was able to get pregnant, and hopefully use that information to help more people get pregnant and prolong the human race. Yeah, huge action set pieces in this movie. Just incredible stuff happening. And one of them in particular, two of them actually, take place in a single unbroken shot, which is unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Of course, it's not a real unbroken shot. It's stitched together with digital effects and such, but it's still amazing. And, it's very, very hard to tell where the breaks are, if you can. And personally, in that one shot that takes place in the interior of a car, entirely within the interior of a car, looking out through the windows as stuff is happening, I don't know where the breaks are in that one. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, those are some terrific movies. And here's how terrific 2006 was. The Departed, of course, is the Best Picture winner. And I loved that movie. It was great. And it didn't make the top 3. That's how great these movies are. So, yeah, very excited about those. And what's coming up, of course, in 2007. This month, obviously, November, I'll be covering 2007 and 2008 in December. And then finally, I'll go over my 3 favorites for this year. And then Best of the Decade. And hopefully some of you will be winning a DVD or 2. Because I will be sending those out as prizes for my master list, the 10 Best of the Decade. And that will be both easier and harder than these, because it will be easier because there's only 30 possible answers. You know, so picking 10 of those is not as difficult as sorting through hundreds of movies that came out in a particular year. But it's also hard in the sense that, you know, there really aren't going to be any clues for the 10. You just have to pick 10 of them and try and figure them out. But of course, each of these videos that I'm making talking about why I like each of these movies, you know, and why I think they belong in there may help. You may be able to, you know, figure out, and I'm going to be putting together a playlist which is going to have all these videos together if you want to refer back to any of them. And I'll also be making a few videos on exactly how I put together a top 10 list, what's my methodology. Maybe that will help as well. So stay tuned for those. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.